Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to make an iced coffee with this brand new Ninja DualBrew coffee maker model number CFP201. It'll do K-cups and it's a 12-cup coffee maker. So first off, it makes a really delicious iced coffee. I'm going to make one with a K-cup, but you can also make one with a filter and coffee grounds. So if we look up here under brew styles, it's got classic, rich, and over ice. Now when we're over iced, they want you to select the container you're going to be using. So when I've got a K-cup installed, I can go from 6, 8, 12. Normally with an over ice, you do a larger quantity. So this is a 14-ounce tumbler. They're gonna take into account when you do over ice, they want you to fill your container full of ice. It's not gonna brew 12 ounces of coffee. Even though I've got it selected on 12 ounces, it's only gonna brew 6 ounces because it's gonna melt the ice, and so they're assuming you're using a 12-ounce container full of ice. That's what you've got to do. Normally, if I've got this on 12 ounces and classic, it'll brew 12 ounces of water through that K-cup. But it's a little different when over ice. And it brews it at a little cooler temperature. It starts out around 185 and it goes down to around 175, so it doesn't melt the ice as fast. So you can use any K-cup you'd like. Typically, I like a medium roast for iced coffee. It does seem to taste a little better, but you can use any K-cup you want. Let's put our K-cup in. Now what's nice about this, when you do over iced, and when I'm in the K-cup, it doesn't turn the heating plate on. But make sure it's not on. That little red light would be on right there. So take your container, fill it full of ice, because it's going to melt the ice pretty good. Put it underneath there. I've got it on 12 ounces over ice, and you simply just hit start. Now it's going to start and stop about 3 times until it finishes the brew. And again, it's only going to brew 6 ounces through that K-cup. When it's finished brewing, I'm going to add a little bit of French vanilla. The sugar-free syrup tastes really good. And I'm going to add just a little bit of milk, just a little under 1/4 cup. Again, it starts and stops. So just keep an eye on the progression bar. As it moves across, then you'll know it's done. Okay, it's finishing up. So it did not brew the full 12 ounces. It just brewed 6 ounces into that ice. So now let's add our milk. I like to add 2 tablespoons of the syrup. I just simply do it like dashes. So 1, 2. Give it a good stir. At this point, you can add some more ice, but you're left with a really cold drink. Even I haven't added any more ice. That's around 37, 36. That's a really cold, that's a good iced coffee. You've still got quite a bit of the ice left, even though it did brew it hot. Let's give it a taste. That's a very delicious iced coffee. The milk and the syrup takes away the bitterness of coffee. And it's just as smooth. Maybe I added just a little bit too much milk, but it definitely has a bold coffee taste. But it's a smooth taste, so it just tastes really good. So now we can do the same with coffee grounds. So put your filter in here and your coffee. Slide this closed. The display will change to coffee now. So when you're in coffee mode, this thing has a lot of brewing options. And again, the same thing's going to apply. When I'm in classic brew, when I've got it on full carafe, it's going to brew a full pot of coffee. It's going to brew a full 55 ounces. But when I go to over ice, see how the ounces doesn't change? And I'm on a full carafe. It doesn't brew 55 ounces through the coffee. It knows that this is going to be completely full of ice, and it's only going to brew about half here. So the ice is going to melt, and when you're done, your container will have 55 ounces of iced coffee. It won't brew 55 ounces into there. So if it did, it would overflow because the ice takes up so much room. And what's nice, when you're in over iced, it doesn't, even though you're doing a full carafe, it doesn't turn the warming plate on. When you're in over iced, it knows not to turn the warming plate on and try to heat that carafe up and coffee up. It would melt that ice a bunch more. So again, we can do any over ice on any one of these settings. Just consider the setting, the size of container you're going to use. So this is a 14-ounce container. If I filled this up with ice and selected brew, it's not going to brew 14 ounces into this container. You'll end up with 14 ounces of iced coffee. It's going to brew about 6 or 7 ounces. But you still follow the coffee measurement chart. So, and it gets a little confusing. So the 14 ounce is the travel mug. In the travel mug, I use 3 to 5 tablespoons. So again, you got to kind of cross-reference it a little bit. So you can save a little bit of money by doing I could have brewed this with a paper filter and my own coffee grounds. Instead, the K-Cup just made it just a little more simpler, that's all. This machine is a very capable over ice machine. I'm very impressed with it. A lot of machines brew the coffee way too hot, and which is good for coffee, but it melts the ice just way too much. This actually brews it a little different when you're over ice, and it lowers the quantity. So thanks everybody for watching. If you could, please like and subscribe.